If I said, let me tell you something, compared to me saying, let me show you something, it lands totally different to the listener. I've suddenly moved from head to head, now more heart to heart.
Please welcome back to the stage, Mr. Sam Cawthorne.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, first and foremost, it is really, really great to see some familiar faces. Some of our students are actually here, and I just really wanted to thank you guys again for coming along. People that I haven't met before, really looking forward to also getting to know you as well. You know, I love this word decision, right? So this word decision actually comes from the Latin word decidere, you know, incision. Scission, as we know, means to cut. Yeah, and the word decide, yeah, the actual word side, suicide, pesticide, the word side means to kill. Look at this, the word decision or decide actually means to cut off and kill. And I actually believe that, in a way, the world lacks leaders that make decisions. Why? Because a lot of the time we love keeping our options open. In a way, we like sitting on the fence. And so my encouragement to you guys at the moment, particularly as we're navigating in this new season, whatever that might be, is actually, you know, is to make the right decisions as we go along. I want to actually share with you a story. And it was a pretty cool decision that I made. A few years ago, I won this award, Young Australian of the Year. They flew me from Tasmania, so I'm Tasmanian, yeah, flew up through to Canberra on Australia Day. And I'm about to meet the Australian Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, yeah? But I'm thinking to myself, what can I do in order for the Prime Minister to remember me? Because as you guys probably know, the Prime Minister probably meets hundreds of people every day, as if they remember everyone that they meet. So I had one of my prosthetic arms on, yeah? And I've got a whole heap of different prosthetic arms. I've got, you know, one for playing golf. I've even got a swimming arm. I've even got a bionic arm, and so it's the most advanced bionic arm in the world. I even program it with my iPhone 13. Seriously, it works via nerve endings and muscle as well. Actually, if you guys downloaded the app, you could control my hand. I've got 8 arms all up. How many arms do you have? So I'm about to meet the Australian Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, but I had my cosmetic arm on. So he didn't notice at all that I had a prosthetic arm. You know, Glenn McGrath, Adam Gilchrist, Rovan McManus, a few other guys were there, and I went up to the Prime Minister, and he sees me, comes over to me to say hello, but also to shake my hand. As he went to shake my hand, I detached my hand and it came off into his hand. And so, you know, world's media came in, everyone was just cracking up laughing, and the Prime Minister's just standing there holding my hand, right? And in his Australia Day speech, the Prime Minister of Australia, he goes, look, today we're surrounded by very significant Australians. We have Aboriginal elders, we have community leaders, we have sports heroes. But nothing can ever beat the intro I had to Sam this morning, because when you meet Sam, it's an extraordinary experience, because when you shake his hand, he'll leave his hand in your hand. And in his Australia Day speech, he actually then looked over to me and he goes, and thanks, Sam, I'm still recovering from therapy today. I wanted to give you some actual evidence that this actually did happen. As you can see, there's Adam Gilchrist there in the background. There's a PM's wife, Therese. She's just lost it, right? And literally the Prime Minister of Australia is just handing me back my hand. I think we all have funny moments in our life, and some moments can be hilarious and quite funny. He will never forget that. But then we have other moments that are actually quite life-defining and life-challenging. Recently, I came across a word, and the word is called this, kairos. Kairos is the Greek word for time. The contrast into chronos or chronological time, you know, meaning ordinary or normal time. Kairos time is laden with meaning and choice. So get this, the dictionary meaning of the word kairos is this, is a moment within a moment, a particular moment in where drastic change takes place. A moment within a moment. You know, I think we've all had moments in our life that has actually defined us who we are. I had a moment a few years ago where I had a major car accident. Lost my arm, wrecked my leg. Doctor said I'll never be able to walk ever again. But I also love how moments can actually shift and change things. I used to work for the Australian federal government as a youth futurist for the Department of Education, Employment, Workplace Relations. And as of my Kairos moment of losing my arm and wrecking my leg, I then was just simply asked to share my story. I went and shared my story at a local youth stage, and then at a school, and then at another school, and then before you know it, I was then sharing my story all around the world. And one thing we do know about story is stories actually connect us. And Warren put it beautifully as well, just simply how us human beings, we're hardwired through narrative, which is why we love going to the movies, which is why we love reading novels, and ultimately that is the key ingredient in the influence area. One thing that's also really helped me as well is that whenever we have these kairos moments, these moments of change, and particularly if it is a moment of trauma, we've been told we need to bounce back from that. And so I've written a whole heap of literature in and around. It's not about actually going back to where we've been. It's actually about learning from that crisis, learning from that kairos moment, and more in and around bouncing forward into what we can become. So I want to share with you 3 areas that have really helped me to learn how to bounce forward in my own life. And I also believe in general as well that our own stories is our greatest metaphor. It is. It's the greatest way how we can connect and ultimately influence another person. And that's the very first thing I wanted to share as well. One thing that had really helped me to bounce forward is that I needed to ultimately learn. Actually, it's quite interesting. My doctor, he said, hey, Sam, you've lost your arm, you've wrecked your leg. Initially, they said, I'll never be able to walk ever again. And they said, Sam, unfortunately, now you won't be able to use your hands in order for your career path to take off that way. You're now going to have to now use your intellect. And this is where I realised that ultimately I needed to invest in myself. So I went out there and I went and got the best coaches to help me master communication. And not just that, but then to actually influence another person. And one thing I love about the word influence is it's not just about inspiring or informing them. Ultimately, influencing them is communicating to someone in a way that they're taking action on what they've just heard from you. That's true influence. And so that's certainly something I needed to learn in and around me bouncing forward. The second thing was story showing trumps information. Now, let me share with you something just in and around this, right? So, and in a moment, I'm going to share with you a little bit more about the difference between storytelling and also story showing. But what we do know about information is really, it's important to inform our logic so it makes sense. But ultimately, just because something's made sense doesn't necessarily mean you've influenced them. Let me give you an example. Let's say hypothetically, my wife and I, we go shopping. Let's say we go shopping for a washing machine. We're at Harvey Norman. The salesperson comes over, gives us all the features, all the benefits, and informs us that this washing machine is the right washing machine that we need to buy. And I'm thinking to myself, yep, this is exactly what we need to buy. Let's buy it. But then my wife, she then looks at me and she says, listen to this, ready? She said, Sam, I'm not feeling it. Do you think we're going to buy that washing machine? There's no chance at all. So then I realised it's this. We are in the business of emotion. We can inform someone, but ultimately to truly transform them or even influence them, we need to evoke emotion, which is ultimately in the power of story. So let me just give you a journey of story that this took me, right? An average storyteller will inform. This is where a lot of education stops. Teachers have been taught how to inform their students, yeah? Whereas a good storyteller will persuade. This is where a lot of salespeople stop. Salespeople have been taught how to persuade their customers and their clients. Whereas a great storyteller will inspire. Now, I love inspiration. I will go to the latest Marvel movie. I'll go and watch a bit of Spider-Man, and I'm actually inspired by that. Man, that's awesome. Inspiration will not necessarily lead to action. Have you felt that? You know, sometimes you inspire, wow, that's really cool, but then when you leave, you go back to your ordinary, everyday, busy life. which then means there needs to be a shift. The shift started to happen a few years ago. Around 10 years ago, everyone started talking about visual storytelling. We did, didn't we? We said, let's use more images, let's use more video. But the reality is we're still using this word tell. To be quite honest, we're sick and tired of people telling us what to do. We are, aren't we? You know, we're at home and our parents tell us what to do. We're in school, teachers tell us what to do. We're even in the workplace and our boss tells us what to do. Nowadays, there's like a resilience. Don't you tell me what to do. There is, isn't it? Absolutely. And so all of a sudden then we're meant to be storytellers. Let me frame something different to you. If I said, let me tell you something, compared to me saying, let me show you something, it lands totally different to the listener. I've suddenly moved from head to head, and now more heart to heart, which then means an excellent story shower will transform. What's transformation? Transformation means I've been informed, I've been persuaded, I've been inspired, but now I'm ready to take action. This isn't the tipping point, though. The tipping point here is what we like to call transcendence. Now, what transcendence is, it's like an out-of-body experience. It's like a sense of timelessness. When we hear an amazing biography, when we watch a true story, what happens in that moment? We're transcended. We don't even know what the time is, or sometimes we even don't even know where we're sitting because we're so mesmerised. It's taken all of us on that journey. And I believe some of the greatest story showers can transcend our thinking. And I want to finish off with the last point here. And the last one here is this: people follow people. What we now know is that we're living in the profile economy, where we no longer trust brands, companies, logos, organisations. We're now trusting human beings. And there was a significant tipping point in the last few years, where on social media we saw about 50-50 were following brands, companies, logos, media, governments, and the other 50% were following human beings. You know what it is now? It is 92% we're now following human beings, 98% we're following government, brands, logos, companies, organisations, media, etc. There's been a significant shift. And my encouragement to you is this: build your profile, whatever that might look like, in your workplace, in your marketplace. Because people follow people. If I like you, you're going to influence me. If I don't like you, you're actually then going to, in a way, repel me. How do you become likable? How can you build your own profile? Why? Because people follow people. And today, guys, we actually wanted to give you a bit of a gift when you walk out of the room. And so in your sachets as you walk out, the gift is actually one of my 4 books. These are just a few books here. So basically one there is all around how to bounce forward, more around resilience, well-being. Then you've got this one here, which is obviously people follow people, which is all about this profile economy. And then the other one there is all in and around story showing as well. So we're actually going to give you, everyone in this room as you walk out, one of those books. And so my encouragement to you is actually, take action on it as well and go out there and influence the world. Why? Because the more that we truly believe that our greatest days ahead of us, the more that you will see that the best is yet to come. Thank you.